Hallelujah. Shalom, family. Love to the 12 tribes of Yasharal scattered abroad. Welcome. Let's talk about what the Torah teaches about Niddah, the separation of women during their menstrual cycle, and how the Ethiopians, Beit Israel, practiced this commandment for over 2,000 years.
Outside the compound, there is a menstruation house to cool the bed.
The female with bleeding, menstruation cycle, they stay here for 7 days.
Niddah. Niddah is the Hebrew word that means impurity, filthiness, menstruous, set apart, removed, separation. A Niddah hut, or Margam Gojo, at the Beit Israel village of Ambober in northern Ethiopia, 1976. Beta Israelite women left their homes and stayed at the hut during menstruation until they could ritually purify themselves at the river and return home. So we see here a photograph of a Margam Gojo. This is the Niddah hut. Menstruation hut. Use in Ethiopia among Beta Israelite women. In Ethiopia's Beta Israel community, when a woman becomes Niddah, impure during menstruation, she may remain in a Niddah hut for some of the time. These huts are absent among practitioners of Talmudism or Rabbinic Judaism, but exist in the Ethiopian highlands, known to the Beta Israel community as Margam Gojo, Beit Mergam, or Tekuto Bet. The women must stay in the hut, usually located on the margins of the village, for 7 days. While in these huts, the women cannot cook, apart from coffee and the roasting of grain. Others may bring food to them, but while doing so, they take care in avoiding physical contact. Within the Margam Gojos, there are a few utensils, some pieces of equipment, and some basic furniture. Stones are placed in a circular shape around the menstruation hut at a radius of 1.5 meters to help distinguish between perceived impure and pure spaces. If anyone were to come into contact with the woman during their menstruation, they too would have to stay in the hut. To avoid contact, the families of the women in the Margam Gojos leave food outside the door. Once a woman has finished menstruating, another woman will watch her immerse in a river. There, the woman who has just finished menstruating will wash herself and the clothes she wore in the Margam Gojo. After she and her clothes are clean, she will change into pure clothes that have been retrieved from her home. The only time that a Beta Israelite woman ceases going to the Margam Gojo is when she starts menopause, as it puts an end to the impurity. So we have the practice of women separating during their menstruation period among the Beta Israelites of Ethiopia. And also, according to Oluwada Equiano, who wrote his memoirs, talked about the practice of separating the menstruating women from the village in his book, recalling the practices of the Igbo tribe. So we have from northeast Africa in Ethiopia to the west coast of Africa, tribes keeping the Torah, and concerning the law of Niddah, they literally separated the menstruating women from the rest of the village, and they lived separately in specially designated huts.
השבר הכי גדול שהיה ליהודי אתיופיה זה שעשו את המסע, אם זה דרך סודן או דרך אדיס, והגיעו לארץ ישראל והגיעו לאדמתה של ירושלים, אבל דבר אחד שנחרב עולמן זה שאישה טמאה נמצאת בתוך הבית. הם לא ידעו שבמדינה יהודית שאפשר שאישה שיולדת או במחזור היא יכולה להיות בתוך הבית שלה עם הילדים שלה ועם בעלה. ואצל הקייסים לקחו את זה מאוד מאוד קשה. אני זוכרת, למרות שהייתי ילדה קטנה, היה קייס אחד שהוא התגורר איתנו בעתלית, ואמר, אין דבר כזה שאני ואשתי נהיה באותו מקום ברגע שהיא טמאה. אז הוא ביקש עוד בית, אבל למרות זאת, הוא לא יכול לקבל עוד בית, אבל כשהוא יצא וקנה בית, הוא בנה לה ליד הבית בקתה כזאת שיכולה, מתי שהיא מקבלת, היא יכולה לצאת, וככה באמת השושלת, הילדים שלו ממשיכים. זה מה שהיה תמוה אצל יהודי אתיופיה. ויש המון דברים שבאמת בארץ ישראל הייתה להם סתירת לחי, כשחיו בגולה, שמרו באדיקות רבה על היהדות, על מה שכתוב בתורה, אבל כשהגיעו לארץ ישראל יש כל מיני פרשנות למיניהם שזה לא ככה, ולהם זה היה סתירת לחי שדווקא במדינת של יהודים יש פשרות.
Wa'ikra, Leviticus chapter 15. And if a woman has an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever touches her shall be unclean until the even. And everything that she lies upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sits upon shall be unclean. And whosoever touches her bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And whosoever touches anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. So, a woman during those 7 days of separation, beginning the first day where she begins to bleed, is set apart, and everything that she touches becomes ceremonially unclean. Anything that her bottom touches also becomes a source of uncleanness. So, for example, a chair that she sits upon, if another person touches that chair, that person becomes unclean. And if it be on her bed, or on anything whereon she sits, when he touches it, he shall be unclean until the even. And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and all the bed whereon he lies shall be unclean. If a man comes in contact with the woman's menstrual blood, he then becomes a source of uncleanness, and he is unclean for 7 days. Anything that he touches or sits upon shall be unclean. And if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean. Every bed whereon she lies all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation. And whatsoever she sits upon shall be unclean, as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever touches those things shall be unclean, and wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean unto the even. So if her flow of blood continues beyond the 7 days, she continues her Niddah separation. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day shall she take unto her 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her before Yahuwah for the issue of her uncleanness. So, in lieu of having a tabernacle or a temple and a Levitical priest, what the Beta Israelites did according to their custom was to have the woman fast for 1 day after finishing her issue if it would go beyond those 7 days. Thus shall you separate the children of Yasharal from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that has an issue, and of him whose seed goes from him and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that has an issue of the man and of the woman, and of him that lies with her that is unclean. So this is a commandment of the Most High. We must separate ourselves from uncleanness. He desires us to be a set-apart people. He set us apart from all the other nations, and we also must do our part to set ourselves apart. Do me a huge favor and smash the like button. And also consider subscribing. It really helps me to grow the channel. And the more the channel grows, the more we all can spread the word.
The gates of the compound are closed for Sabbath. There is a separate house outside the compound called Tekutabet, which means menstruation house, where women stay during menstruation, or 40 days after the birth of a son, and 80 days after the birth of a daughter. I cannot enter this part because if I enter, I will become impure and will have to stay there for 7 days. Exhausted by inspired, we're starting our trip back.
Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 12. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharal, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man-child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation for her infirmity shall she be unclean. And in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised, and she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 33 days. She shall touch no set-apart thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. So this is the instruction involving childbirth. If a woman gives birth to a boy, she is separated 40 days. But if she bear a maid child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 66 days. And when the days of her purifying be fulfilled, for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation unto the priest. So if the child is a girl, her length of separation is 80 days. And again, according to the custom of the Beta Israel community, in lieu of having a tabernacle or a temple and a Levitical priest to give an offering for atonement, the women fast for 1 day. Who shall offer it before Yahuwah, and make an atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. This is the law for her that has borne a male or a female. And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, the one for the burnt offering and the other for a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean.
שבית כזה יש גם בית שנקרא בית מרגל. יהודי אתיופיה, למרות שחיו בגולה במשך דורות שלמים, אבל השמירה על היהדות שלהם, השמירה על טהרה וטומאה, היא הייתה מאוד חזקה אצל יהודי אתיופיה. מה זאת אומרת? בנו בית שקוראים לו בית מרגל. בית מרגל זה בית נידה. שאישה, כשהיא במחזור או כשהיא מביאה חיים לעולם, כשהיא יולדת בן או בת, אז יש בית כזה, ברגע שהיא יולדת היא יוצאת אליו, אם זה בן 40 יום ואם זה בת 80 יום. זאת אומרת, היא לא נוגעת בבני המשפחה שלה, היא נמצאת עם התינוק, מטפלים בה 80 יום או 40 יום, אבל היא לא מתקרבת, לא נוגעת בילדים שלה, היא יכולה לדבר, אבל הבית מרגם מכותר באבנים, ככה שאף ילד לא קופץ אליה ואף אחד לא נוגע בה, היא נקראת 140 יום או 80 יום. מה קורה אחרי 80 יום או 40 יום? מה שקורה זה שביום הזה היא צמה יום שלם, ואחר כך היא הולכת לנהר לטבול, ולקראת הערב היא טובלת ונכנסת. אם זה בין 40 פעמים, ואם זה בת 80 פעמים, היא טובלת עם התינוק או תינוקת, ואחרי זה היא נכנסת הביתה, עושים לה מסיבה מאוד גדולה, ומי שבא לברך אותה זה הכס. הכס זה הרב האתיופי, שהוא הכהן של בני הקהילה, הוא מברך אותה עם התינוק שלה, ואחר כך היא יכולה לחבק את הילדים והמשפחה שלה. ככה נהגו יהודי אתיופיה.
Wa'ikra, Leviticus 18. Also, you shall not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness. Chapter 20. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he has discovered her fountain, and she has uncovered the fountain of her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people. So we saw in Wa'ikra, Leviticus chapter 15, that if the menstrual blood contacts the man is unclean for 7 days and also becomes a source of uncleanness. However, that's if it is accidental. Here we see that if a man purposely comes in contact with a woman during her period of separation and comes in contact with her blood, now there is a severe punishment. They are to be cut off from the congregation of Yashral. Ezekiel chapter 22. Her priests have violated my Torah and have profaned my set-apart things. They put no difference between the set-apart and profane. Neither have they showed difference between the unclean and the clean, and have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, and I am profaned among them. So we have Yah giving his complaint about the Levitical priesthood through the prophet Hezekiah, saying that they're not making a difference between the unclean and the clean. They're not teaching the Israelites how to make a difference. Chapter 44. But the priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, that kept the charge of my sanctuary when the children of Yasharal went astray from me, they shall come near to me to minister unto me, and they shall stand before me to offer unto me the fat and the blood, says Adonai Yahuwah. And they shall teach my people the difference between the set apart and profane, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. And in controversy they shall stand in judgment, and they shall judge it according to my judgments, and they shall keep my laws and my statutes in all my assemblies, and they shall set apart my Sabbaths. Now we see in the future, after Yah reestablishes the kingdom of Yasharal, in the Messianic kingdom, that the Levitical priests, the sons of Zadok, will be righteous priests, and they shall teach the Israelites, they shall teach the people how to separate the clean from the unclean. So this is what Yah desires for us. The Torah, the laws, commandments, and statutes are not done away with. They are eternal. These are the laws of the kingdom. He wants us to fulfill his instructions, including the instructions concerning Niddah. 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Wherefore come out from among them, and be you separate, says Yahuwah, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and you shall be my sons and my daughters, says Yahuwah El Shaddai. First Yehuhanan, 1 John chapter 3. And every man that has this hope in him purifies himself, even as he is pure. Whosoever commits sin transgresses also the Torah, for sin is the transgression of the Torah. And you know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin. Whosoever abides in him sins not. Whoever sins has not seen him, neither known him. Review questions. What is the Hebrew term for menstrual separation? Typically, for how many days is a woman to be separated? What happens to a person or object that touches a separated woman? What is to be done to that person or object? What happens to something that touches a separated woman's bottom? What happens if a person comes in contact with menstrual blood? What is to be done to the man and woman that has relations during her separation? Fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Bind up the testimony, seal the Torah among my disciples. Shalom, family. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. Like, comment, and share.